about tech, demystifies everything tech, and brings it closer to home. We try to make you understand everything that you hear in this day and age where everything is all about the gigabytes and the terabytes and the megahertz and the, yeah. Why are you looking at me like that, Michael? No, I'm not continuing. So yes, today we're talking about the renewable energy potential in Ghana. Yes, some time ago there was a lot of doomsaw and people started looking at alternative sources of power. Some were considering that, hey, the country should look into nuclear. And my eyes popped like, yeah. Some were saying, hey, we have so much sunlight. Why don't we do solar? Some were talking about wind power because considering everywhere you go, you see wind vanes in the Scandinavian countries. And some were talking about biogas. So there were so many alternative power discussions. And then there were those at home who decided, you know what, maybe I can generate my own power. Maybe I can come up with my own power source, like solar, since that is easily achieved than setting up your own biogas facility in your house or setting up your own micro nuclear plant. I don't know how you're going to do that because we don't want another Chernobyl or Fukushima in Ghana. But yeah, everybody was looking at alternate ways of getting their own power. The most common one was the generator, but with the way fuel prices are going right now, I don't think that would be something worth considering. Now, this conversation right now today is going to take two directions. One for the individual who's looking at cutting costs at home. And electricity or power seems to be one of the ways to cut costs. And also for businesses who are also complaining about the cost of power, running renewable energy power sources could be a way to reduce your cost, and you could channel that money somewhere else, like in your business. So yeah, now's the time that a lot of people are cutting costs, and we're going to see how we can help you make a decision on how to cut costs. And we're starting with power. How do you cut costs on power? And today, to have that conversation, the usual suspects, Michael and Winston. Hi, guys.
Evening, everyone.
Yeah. And then we have Samuel Adade. Sorry, Kwame Adade. And yeah, he's... they say you shouldn't use the term expert loosely. So yeah, he's into renewable energy. I'm not going to say expert yet until you judge for yourself, you the listener, whether he sounds like an expert or not. And we also have another person who I'm not going to call an expert, Nocheski. So he's called Noche Amatefio of Nocheski. He's also a solar or renewable energy I'm not going to use person. Yeah, he's a person. He says we use the term expert loosely, so I'm not going to use it loosely. You, the audience, judge for yourselves if he's an expert or not. Right or wrong? Nocheski.
Righto.
Great. So, guys, before we start, I'm going to ask my fellow fossil fuel burners, Michael and Winston. Yeah, I know you guys are pro fossil fuel when it comes to your cars, but are you pro fossil fuel when it comes to your electricity?
I mean, I'm just surprised that you didn't add, the way Accra is looking now, you didn't add hydroelectric to our power options.
You know, today I was actually saying that maybe I should go into the lab and then see how I can convert rainwater into petrol, because the amount of rain we're getting, Charlie.
Well, interesting enough, you can to a
You
certain
would know.
degree. Yeah. and let's be clear, I'm not very crazy about fossil fuel, but as I was talking about with you guys earlier, synthetic fuel is something that is extremely interesting.
Yeah, that's all you
for
want
me.
to talk about.
Yeah,
But today
but
we're talking about
talking about this
renewable
stuff,
energy.
yeah. So, but the cool thing about synthetic fuel is that they make pretty much the same thing, so you don't have to change. So, what you were saying, will I be willing to find out an alternative to my, for my generator? Yeah, you can use synthetic fuel. Exact
Right.
same thing. You don't need to change anything.
Cool.
But that's a totally different conversation.
For another day.
Yeah.
Yes. So, which renewable energy source would you consider using if you were moving from the grid? You were getting off the grid.
I mean, solar, especially because I think solar is the most convenient for everybody. depending on where you live. Like if you are living in town,
When you said, I was about to ask, what if I'm
if you are in the Blue Mountains and you can probably put up the wind setup because it won't obscure anything. Nobody's going to be inconvenienced by it. But I'm thinking about in the thick of Labadi and you have a tall wind setup there. I'm wondering how that's going to go. Come across.
That's one of that perfect sea breeze. You're actually getting a lot of good energy.
So that means you're probably going to have to use blades that are not metal so you don't rust.
Yeah, composites. I mean, if they make carbon fiber car components.
Are you going
bro? Carbon fiber wind vane. How expensive would that be?
Oh well, we could do plastic. There's loads of that. But I mean, personally, I would go solar.
Right.
I mean, my power got cut today. I had to spend a lot of time chilling in the sun, tanning myself. So it gave me a lot of time to think about what good solar would do for my place.
The only thing I've been wondering about solar is this recent rains, and I'm glad we have a solar person here.
Person?
Yeah, person. So we have a conversation about like the energy, like how the energy storage. I know storage is one of the most. I think I if I'm mistaken, storage is one of the most important aspect of your solar setup. So I'm really interested to know because the sun has been playing hide and seek because of the rain. So I'm wondering how does that affect.
Well, there's also the talk about not actually needing the sun 100% anymore. I stand to be corrected by the persons. But yes, some there's talk about light, it just being light. It doesn't necessarily have to be direct sun rays. But we'll get to that.
I had a very funny image of you putting a torchlight.
I was thinking about taking my solar panels to the stadium and then turning on the floodlights. So I'm going to let our guests introduce themselves and tell us what they do, and then we start the conversation. So I'll start with you, Noche.
Okay, so thank you for the opportunity to be amongst these lovely people. The name is Noche Amate Efio. I come from Buko. The company that I work for is Nocheski, which is actually a Polish name. And we've been, running a lot of solar power systems in the country and even in the sub-region.
Right.
I think that everybody in this country should consider solar without any compromise. Because even though there is a lot of talk about wind, in this part of the world, our geographical location gives us advantage when it comes to solar. Okay? And over here, the average, what we call the effective sunshine hours is 5.5 hours per day. Okay? So that's, it might sound little to you, but it doesn't mean that you only get 5.5 sunshine or sunlight. You get that of efficient sunlight. The most productive is 5.5 hours.
Okay. So that's for Nocheski's introduction. And David Kwame Adade, he's also here. He's also a renewable energy person. This is going to be difficult.
Expert.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about yourself and
Okay, I do installs in Ghana, primarily SMA is my brand, and I also do installs in the UK.
Right.
So off grids in the UK or the European market, it's on grid. So you're looking at grid tie inverters where there's no battery backup.
Okay.
In terms of battery backup, that would be in Ghana. So that's the kind of systems that we put in.
Great. So we would double click on Ghana and then juxtapose it with your experience in the UK to see how very different or how very similar our systems are, and some of the benefits you get in the UK and how your systems run and how we can get there. So before we continue, I'll take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we want to find out, solar, is it that expensive like they make us think, or they're just overrated? You can just go and buy your calculator and take out the panels and set up your own solar at home. We'll be right back.
If home is where the heart is, then let's go home, shall we? Let's go where the entertainment is, where the passion is, where the laughter is, and sometimes even the tears too. Let's go where we feel safe enough to share our opinions.
And send tweets.
Where we do that embarrassing little dance to our favorite song. Let's go home where the love, the care, and the joy live.
There's no place like home. Connect your home to super fast internet with affordable data bundles from MTN Home. Visit broadband.mtn.com.gh or your My MTN app to sign up today. MTN.
And we're back. Geek Squad is brought to you by MTN. MTN everywhere you go. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. You can tune in or you can dial in and watch the live stream. You can tweet at us, #JoyGeekSquad. And if you want to join the conversation, you can send us a WhatsApp message, 055 111 055 11 11 997 or 055 111 997. What other power alternatives have you considered, or have you installed, or have you been toying around with? Let us know. Send us a message on our WhatsApp, 055 11 11 997. So we're talking about renewable energy potential in Ghana. And yeah, we've got, I'm not going to mind them, experts with us. Because yes, no matter what you do, you've been doing this for a while. If you do this for over, some time, you become an expert. That's if you become very good at it. And the more you do something and everybody says, oh, this is that guy, Charlie, I give you expert title. So, yes, we've got renewable energy experts with us here in the studio, and then the non-experts are with us too, the Geek Squad.
Look, we are expert consumers. It's time for us.
Have you ever consumed solar power, Michael?
Every day. In fact, today, or the time, I've tanned. I've gotten darker.
That was ultraviolet rays you were just consuming.
I dug that up from the earth. It came from the sun like all the other solar power we like so much.
Right, so, Noche.
Yes, sir.
There's that conversation. A lot of people say that when you go to Vegas, they've got a solar farm.
Right.
Because it's desert land, so much sun. If you go to Egypt, you've got that there. You come to Ghana, I haven't seen a solar farm anywhere. All I see is solar street lights that work sometimes and they don't work sometimes. And I mean, that's also going to come up in this conversation. Why hasn't Ghana, which gets a lot of sunlight, regardless of the times that we have so much rain? For instance, today we had rain, but right after the rain, here came the sun, blazing hot. Why don't we have something like that, like a solar farm?
Well, I must say that that is a misconception on your part.
Okay.
There are indeed a lot of solar farms in this country. If you go up north, for example, loads of them over there feeding into the grid, try to beef up the electricity supply in the country.
Right.
So there are, it's not like as it is, say, in, India or, say, in America or, the other larger economies. But there are loads of solar farms around.
Great.
Yeah.
So them feeding into the grid means that we can actually be generating enough solar power to power a whole community.
Yes, that's very correct.
And that's what's happening there.
Yes,
in the north,
basically they feed it, they're generating. It's just like like the way you have big generators that produce electricity from diesel.
Yeah.
It's just a similar thing, just that this one is made from the sun.
Okay.
Really, that's what it is.
Now that we know that exists, let's talk about how it works. So start with you and I go to Kwame. So we've heard solar, you get panels, then you put them on your roof, you connect it to your batteries, and you're done. You have power. Is that how it works?
Yeah, well, I would like to make it more simpler.
Right.
You see, like if you see, light is the key word here. It's not, a lot of people misconstrue that. It's not about the heat of the sun. It is how much brightness is in the sky. The brighter the light, the more ability for that light to be converted to
Energy.
to electrical energy
Right.
through the silicon cells. The solar cells are made from silicon, okay, glass, some kind of glass, and then when they hit the surface of the solar panels, they get turned into electricity, and then that passes through cables into batteries, etc., etc. Basically, that's what it is.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, the heat of the sun, the hotter the temperature, the less the quality.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting.
Okay. Yeah, that's because the voltage will drop. Hey, let me not go too deep there, but
Well, don't worry. Some of our listeners.
that's okay.
That's okay.
I think it's enough for now.
Right. Kwame, you're coming from the UK, where, I know from watching a lot of Cow Wow that your weather is very, very unpredictable. There's a lot of rain. Like, just random showers like that. How efficient or how usable is solar where you're from?
It's not.
It's not.
It's not. There was a while back, or actually now, there's been a few issues where people have spent, bought systems, paid £10,000 for a system and expecting to get some money back, and they've just realised that they haven't got, 3-4 years later, they haven't got their money back. And the feed-in tariff, we used to call it a feed-in tariff, where any excess power you generate gets fed it back into the grid.
Okay.
They weren't seeing that sort of returns. And of course, 3-4 years later, the panels have doubled in size, and you've realised something that cost you 10,000 3 years ago is now costing you 2,000. So there's been a lot of issues around power generation. You've got roofs, we have pitch roofs, and you can't put a panel at a certain angle because it looks unsightly, or you can't put it on a flat roof. So there's loads and loads of laws, and so you can't. Not like Ghana, we can just see the sun there, put a panel up there directly facing the sun,
that's
and
it.
get the maximum power. You can't do that in the UK.
Wow.
The maximum angle you get is probably about 20. I think it's about 20 centimeters. So there's not. It's during the summer months it's good. But the rest of the year, you're struggling to see what to get your returns back on the power.
Wow.
As compared to Ghana, you just directly, face the sun directly, and you're getting whatever whatever power is available on that day. So that's the difference.
You said something about feeding back to the grid.
Okay. Yeah.
So when you generate too much power, if there's something like that, you can actually feed it back to the grid.
Yes, we have a way of monitoring it or averaging how much power you're going to feed back into the grid.
Okay.
So that's quite easy. So you work out, they tell you you're going to generate this much power, and you're going to feed this much power back into the grid. Whereas in Ghana, it's a little bit different. Trying to get a feed-in tariff back into the grid, you're going to come across obstacles. You're going to come across, well, we don't really do that here, or one assembly doesn't do it as opposed to another assembly, or we do that in Accra and we can't do that. So at the moment it's Mitcham, it depends on where you live. I generate maybe 25. I have a system that generates 25k. Once my batteries are charged, that's it. My inverter just shuts down, and all that power is just wasted. If I was encouraged to feed that power back into the grid, I would pursue that as a alternative revenue source.
So when you say 25k, for those who don't understand how to measure power, that's powering, like, if you could put that into a house, how many bedroom house would require 25k? Yeah, because I'm sure my audience that don't understand power, generation or how to measure power are wondering, 25 kilobytes or 25 Ghana cedis data. What are we? How are we measuring this?
Okay.
So a 3-bedroom house would consume about how much power?
Okay. Okay. So in a house, you'd have the high burners like AC.
Right.
Average AC is about 2.5k, 2,500 watts.
Watts.
So
right.
2.5k. Depending on how many you're switching on. If you've 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, you're going to 2.5k times 3.
Times 3, right?
So the high burners are the ACs, followed by, I think, the washing machine, the fridge. 2.5k is a lot.
Right.
It's more than enough. It's a lot. Depends. Sorry, I forgot the question. What was the question?
So I was trying to figure out how, like a house how would measure 25k using a house, and how much one household, and how much power they consume.
Okay.
So Nocheski.
So let me chip in here. So actually, if you convert 2.5 horsepower
Air
to
conditioner.
watts,
Right.
air conditioner to watts, it's about 1,800.
Okay.
1.5 horsepower AC is about 1,120 watts. So if we're generating 25k, which is 25,000 watts, and we divided it by, say, 1,800, that being the power consumption of a 2.5 horsepower, that will be doing about 13 of those at one time.
Okay.
That's a lot of power.
So
this man is a powerful guy.
So he's generating enough
lot of
power
power.
for 13
ACs one
ACs
time.
at one time.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's right.
From just solar.
Yeah, from just solar, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm interested. Winston, ask a question.
So no, it's actually so a friend of ours, a good friend of ours, also a whole house running on solar,
Right.
also faced the same issues you're facing about trying to give back to the grid.
Yeah.
What are the main challenges? Not just too. This is also for you, since you're also in the business. Like, what are the main challenges? Because in his case, he said he had situations where the people came to him and were like, it's not possible that you are not using, you are not on the grid, so you owe this amount. Like, they just said that you probably tampered with your meter, so you owe this amount. Like, what are some of the things you've heard about this, and what are the challenges concerning this?
I'm sorry, you have to rephrase the question,
Okay.
please.
What are the challenges faced with the concept of an individual, a private individual, feeding back to the grid from their solar system?
Okay, so now I'll take you back a bit. There are a couple of trials. It's called a grid tie system. That's what's called. Grid tie mean that you see, typically, right, in a solar power system, an off-grid solar power system, you would have batteries included, solar panels, inverters, batteries, cables, etc. That's typical. In a grid tie system, there's no battery involved. So you use whatever you generate. The excess
Goes
is
back
then
to the
pumped into the grid. And then the utility company, in our case, which is ECG, will then pay you a certain rate for that. Is that understood?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the downside to this is that, if you don't have, you see, the whole thing is this, it's about policy, and, you need to have agreements with the government. And some years ago, there were some trials. So there are some people who have grid tie systems in Ghana, but because the policy doesn't allow for it to, for you to, they're not going to pay you. So if they're not going to pay you, we advise that just install just enough for you to be able to use during the day. Okay, so from what he's saying, if he's producing 25k an hour times 5.5 or 6 hours, and if he's using just about half, all the rest is wasted. But then if the utility company had said, okay, we're going to give you 1 cedi per kilowatt, then if he's saving, say, 10 or 15 a day, it's 15 cedis every day,
Okay.
You understand what I'm trying to say? So it's the challenge is that, the policies don't allow it doesn't encourage people to do grid tie systems or to go solar, because there's no gain. You're going to lose. Have I answered your questions?
Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
Great.
That's right.
So this means that a lot of people who set up solar in Ghana store in batteries.
That's right.
So what kind of batteries are we looking at? Tiger Head, Sunwatt, Two-Door, Duracell, or Energizer?
I thought you'd go with car batteries. Like
Oh.
bare minimum. I thought you'd go with car batteries.
I mean, I thought personally, I know that Tiger Head's the best because if the battery you go chew them, and then if the battery runs out or it's raining, we just chew the batteries and we put them back and we have power.
Ever since you stopped driving.
So the way Kwame is laughing. Kwame, did you guys do that in the UK? Do you ever chew batteries?
I remember that. You used to beat a battery to get the extra power out of it.
Oh, so this is universal. At least on our side, we would chew it. We didn't care about the health risks involved. So in the UK, you guys actually hammered it.
Oh, years ago. That was years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is interesting. So which kind of batteries do you guys use?
I think that the older batteries, which is the ones I bought initially, were the flooded lead, standard car batteries.
Right.
They're not car batteries, but
The wet cell batteries.
They are proper solar batteries.
Okay.
And the newer batteries are the lithiums, which are a lot easier to manage.
Yeah.
When you say easier to manage,
A lot of the newer systems now have a battery management system.
oh right.
So it works out how much power is in the battery and how much power to send to the battery to charge it up to 100%, and how often do I need to recondition the battery so it stays optimal, 100% optimal. Whereas my flooded lead acid batteries are a lot harder to manage. You've got to top them up with acid. You've got to equalize them every now and again. That sort of,
When you say equalize, how are we equalizing them? Yeah, the technical terms. I'm sure I'm not the only person wondering.
Okay, let me just say, equalize. Okay, so take a car battery, 12-volt car battery. In order to charge a 12-volt car battery, you're going to charge it maybe up to about 14 volts. Then as the battery's getting 85, 90, 95% charged, then you actually slow down the amount of charge because it's almost getting charged.
Okay.
Just to extend the life of the battery.
Okay.
So that's how it works. Now, an equalized charge would just maybe take it to 14 volts, and it will vibrate it at 14 volts. So it vibrates at 14 volts just to condition it.
Right.
The thing about batteries is that they get, was it calcium? They get calcium deposits on the plates, and sometimes you just need to vibrate them a little bit, vibrate the voltage up and down a little bit just to remove the calcium and condition the battery. So it's like a conditioner.
So just like our smartphone batteries, we're always told not to either overcharge them or undercharge them. You need to keep them between a certain power range. Okay, that's interesting. We've got some questions over here. And this is Nana Kwesi says a very important topic. My questions: solar and electricity, which is cheaper? Okay, you mean solar and grid electricity, which is cheaper? And 2, how expensive or cheap is it to maintain a solar panel? And 3, will a solar panel be sufficient or work properly at a pram environment, specifically 3 kilometers drive from the Central University, and an environment closer to the sea breeze? Okay, Nana Kwesi.
Free consultation.
I mean, he must have put his Ghana Post GPS address there. For
You
us
might
to be
as well,
sure.
right? So that's from Nana Kwesi. And he actually asked some questions I was about to ask. That which is cheaper, running a solar system versus power from the grid? I mean, it's the setup. We've heard that solar is expensive to set up, but then after a setup, you're good to go. Or are there any other maintenance costs post setup? And I think he asked that as well. So I'm going to direct this to both of you. You give me your opinion, and Kwame also gives me his opinion. So Nocheski, how expensive is it versus grid power?
Okay, so the grid is cheaper now,
Right.
bluntly put. Okay, but
Wait, prepaid is cheaper now.
it's cheap now.
Now.
You know why?
No.
Because if you want to buy electricity, you can go to the shop and just buy 5 cities.
Okay.
With solar, you need an entire setup. But solar is cheaper. It's way cheaper in the long run if you do it properly.
Okay.
I want to emphasize on the word what?
Properly.
Properly.
Let me
have to
hold
do it
you
properly.
there. The grid, we're forgetting the steps that you have to go to also get a meter, get the pole, the wire run to your house, all that.
If you rent, fine. If you rented a home
Okay.
and you moved in, it would probably have a meter there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you wouldn't install solar on a rented home. You install it on your own
You'd be
house.
surprised. People do.
Hey,
there's
so
nothing wrong with it.
you rip it off.
There's nothing wrong. It's mobile.
mobile.
You can move it
Okay. I was
just need
thinking
the
about
right
the
people.
wiring and stuff.
Look, you need to. You see, that's the problem here. You need to find the right people.
So
Okay?
properly and the right people.
That's right.
And we have the right people here, right?
The experts.
The experts.
So, but I want to go back a bit to
Okay.
what
Kwame's.
he was saying about. You see, batteries happen to be the most expensive component when it comes to
The solar system.
solar power systems. It's
Not
also,
the panels.
Not the panels.
Okay.
The panels are probably one of the cheapest,
Interesting.
but they are also the most sensitive of them. And my colleague said that battery management systems, that's why you need to have them managed. Because if you want to buy the batteries he's talking about, the batteries he's talking about, flooded batteries, even though they are old technology, if you get the right brand and if you have it set up properly, those batteries will probably last you about 20 years easy.
Wow.
If they're solid and you're well set up and you have all your management practices in place, you know, everything nice, 20 years you'll be good. Okay.
I'm actually after 25, 30 years out of batteries.
Wow.
You understand?
For 8 years so far, Rolls from America. I had them 8 years, and I'm looking 25, 30 years.
Wow.
You see,
So-
the thing here is that, you know, there are, like I said, batteries.
It's really important.
Like we could talk about batteries for 24 hours non-stop. They are complex like women.
Okay.
Okay, and they're also very sensitive. I mean, you cannot really have an off-grid system without storage. No, it's a very, very key component
Right.
and the most expensive. And so, it's an area that a lot of people, you know, have problems with because they are not doing the right things.
Right.
You understand what I'm trying to say? So, but back to the issue about which is more expensive.
Yeah.
I think solely you're paying what, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years up front.
Yes.
You know, so if you're paying for it up front, then after that it's free. Once
Right.
you pay for it,
So in the long run,
free.
it's cheaper.
Yeah.
In the long run. Right?
So
In
it's
the
an
short run,
investment.
ECG is the cheapest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the how is so the maintenance primarily are the batteries. That's what you maintain most of the time.
I think this is the older style batteries. The flooded
Yeah.
lead acid batteries are high maintenance.
Okay.
The newer batteries.
Okay, with the
have
management system.
Management system,
Management
that's all
systems.
taken care of. So it is actually getting easier
Okay.
to manage. You could put a system in and forget about it.
So do I need to manage my panels, like clean them
Yes.
and stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, normally, the beauty about solar is this: that because you have less moving parts, like if you go to other renewables like wind, etc., you know, the
Yeah.
wind
The turbine.
mill moves, it rotates, and so because it's mechanical, there's a lot of moving parts, so there's a lot of wear and tear, and that has high. It's like your car; it has high, maintenance costs. You need to grease, you need to change parts, this and that. Solar on the other side, on the other hand, has less moving parts,
Right.
and so the maintenance costs are easier and lower. What are typical? Like for example, with our systems, we have a biannual maintenance regime. Every 6 months, the maintenance team goes, cleans the solar panels, because the cleaner your solar panels, the more energy you generate. Check all the connections and make sure that the cables are not loose, all the connections. And then, because we run very, sophisticated systems, they run on firmwares. You have to update the firmwares and make sure the firmwares are, proper. Now, that takes me back to the management systems. We live in a data-driven society. So the components, so for example, Spikey over there, say the solar panel. Chap over there, say the batteries. You are the cables. I'm the inverter. We are constantly trading information to make sure that the system is optimized. And because the battery is the most sensitive part of it, all that information is how it affects the battery performance. And if the battery is getting the right information, then the longevity of your system is lengthened. That's how it is. Yeah. Kind of. Yeah.
Right. I think this conversation is going to have to extend because we're almost out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. so interesting
start
how
at the beginning.
an hour runs by so fast. Yeah. They say time flies when you're having fun.
Right.
Yeah, we're learning a lot today from Nacheski and Kwame, who are experts in renewable energy. And yeah, I'll be back to read some of the solar questions that I have. But until then, I have a few bills to pay. So when I'm done paying my bills, I'll read out the questions. You guys answer them. And then we'll plan the continuation of this episode because we haven't even touched on wind. We're still on solar. We haven't even talked about the inverter, which is the heart of the whole system, right? Yeah. So we'll be right back after this.
The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
It's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
"Shout!" I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information.
MTN.
And we're back. There's 1,000 more reasons to buy your airtime with MTN Momo. You're probably asking why. Well, it's really simple. Momo is giving you back 100% bonus whenever you buy airtime with your wallet. That's 2 times the airtime you need. You can schedule your airtime purchases of any amount daily, weekly, or monthly by dialing *170# and the option 3 and follow the process, or simply dial *170 *311# for a superb airtime purchase experience. So whether you're scheduling tomorrow's airtime today or buying airtime when you need it on *170# or *170 *311#, you get 100% bonus airtime so you can make twice as many calls and catch up with gist only on MTN Momo. The show's Geek Squad, and it is brought to you by MTN everywhere you go. And we're talking about renewable energy. I'm really enjoying the conversation. Unfortunately, you're running out of time. So CC says, so can a half-plot field of solar cell power solar panels power a 3-bedroom house with normal gadgets like ACs plus an EV car? He throws that in there, an EV. Is it about the panels, the inverter, or the battery? I know we haven't talked about the inverter. I really wish we had gotten into that because that's like the CPU of the whole system, right?
I mean, it's not a no.
Nocheski said like it's coming.
Okay.
Okay. So the newer solar systems, they're kind of like split up into 2 halves: the battery half
Right.
and the charging half.
Okay.
So the systems the newer type of system, the charging half will be solar panels straight into a solar or grid tie inverter,
Right.
converted to 230 volt electricity. So that's no batteries. Solar straight into grid power.
Okay.
If you have a 2.5k air conditioning, you're running that, and your solar's generating 2.5k, you're basically getting it for free. You know, if your solar's generating 1k and your aircon is using 2.5k, you're paying the ECG 1.5k. So it just straightforward, it's nice and simple. The second half of it is the battery half, where you now take the excess power and then charge the battery. The battery's for nighttime.
Okay.
There's different types of usage. For instance, a shop, if you go to A&C Mall, you see loads of solar panels. Their business hours are in the morning, I don't know, 8 to 6. So their panels are just straightforward, running solar, grid tie. During the day, the sun's shining. It's taking a percentage off their ECG, no batteries.
Right.
No batteries. So there's that type of system. So you can run. I run my air conditioning on all day because during the day there's solar and the solar's free.
Right.
At night time, I'd turn the AC off because I'm now running on batteries, so I wouldn't necessarily run my solar on the batteries. The thing about the batteries, the more you charge them and discharge them,
the weaker they get.
The weaker they get.
Right.
So you're trying to aim for, maybe I try and aim maybe 60%. So I never take out more than 40% out of my batteries.
Okay.
If the batteries are going to go down below 40%, below 60%, I might just switch on the grid.
Okay.
So the batteries can last another 10, 15 years. So it's all about battery usage. About making your batteries, taking too much power out of your batteries will weaken them and shorten the lifespan of them.
Right.
Okay. I want to take your question from another perspective.
Right.
The inverter. I just want to tackle the inverter. What is the inverter? The inverter, basically, you see, all the power that you produce from the solar, is DC current. So the
Dansoman City.
Like a forex bureau.
Wait. DC from Dansoman.
From the solar panel.
Okay.
Direct current.
Aha. Take me as your class 1 child who has no idea. Yeah, there's a message here. The technical terms are too much for our understanding.
Okay, so direct current is different. You cannot kind of use it like the way you use ECG.
Right.
So the inverter inverts or converts that direct current to alternating current like ECG.
Right.
Okay.
So now, I can't use that direct current.
You can't use it like this, like the way we're using electricity here.
Okay.
Because you have direct current appliances. They are different, like 12 volt DC stuff. Now, the size of your inverter basically informs how much gadgets you can put on at a time.
Right.
So the bigger your inverter, the more stuff you can put at one time.
Like a deep freezer, air condition, all that at once.
Provided that it's an off-grid inverter. There is also what you call the grid tie inverter. With the grid tie inverter, if you exceed what it can take, then you take the rest from the grid.
Okay.
So for example, if you have a grid tie inverter that is 10 kilowatt or 10,000 watts, and your demand for power is 12,000, the solar provides 10,000, and then 2,000 is provided by the grid.
The grid, right.
So that's the difference.
Okay.
I hope I've answered the question.
Yeah, you have.
That's fine.
Nana Kwesi is still a bit confused about what? The cost? Because I think what they said was that with solar it's expensive to set up, but in the long run it pays for itself, versus electricity, which is cheap because you're paying as you use. So sorry, which one are you confused about? And I believe the solar panel maintenance is essentially just cleaning it up, right?
Mostly.
And he's asking what the lifespan of a solar panel is as well.
Averagely 25 years?
25 years.
Yeah, 25 years. So.
But you wouldn't use it for 25 years. You'd only use it for about, 10 years? I have panels that are 10 years and they're just on the floor because they're too small.
Okay.
They're just too small.
The technology ramps up.
Technology doubles and triples, and you wouldn't use a 160 watt panel. It's just too small.
It's too small. Yeah.
Right.
They've stopped making the 300 watt panels. They don't make them anymore. I think they now make just the 500 watt panels. 300 watts are now
620 actually.
620. So yeah, they've even.
So they've even gone up.
Is the big deal now?
Is the big deal. So as the new ones come, like the way you got your iPhone 14, you'll be getting your iPhone 14 Pro Max, then you'll be getting your solar panel Pro Max.
The thing here is this, okay? Now, if you have the right people, right, they can redesign your system. We've done it several times. People who started solar pretty early, they've got all kinds of panels. Actually, you cannot mix the panels, but you can redesign.
When you say redesign, if you're not mixing the panels, but you're using them.
You're using them, but you're using them each, say for example, 160 watt panels that you bought, say, 15 years ago.
Right.
And then the 300 watt panels that you bought 5 years ago, and the 620 panels that you bought this year, from us.
Plug. Yeah, plug.
All on the what do you call it? On the
roof.
What do? You give each set a different charge controller.
Right.
Okay, because you want to get the voltages right. Okay, so you got to tweak it out.
So basically,
it's gonna work really nice.
So you see why I say you guys are the experts. if it was left to us, like all solar panel be solar panel, no be so. We'll daisy chain them, connect them all, plug it in,
and blow up your house.
Yeah, there is daisy chaining in. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens. You know,
wow.
Now the technology is, is really, really brisk. You know, the advancement is, so a lot of things are happening. A lot of the solar systems that you see right now are heavily IT based. Extremely.
So I think we should ask the question that most people want to hear.
Right.
So we've already had this conversation.
Okay.
So the question is numbers. Regular house, one TV in the living room,
one AC,
two ACs. Normally one in the living room, one in the master bedroom.
Right.
A couple of fans. Let's say if it's a 3-bedroom house, there's a fan in each room and the living room.
In the living room, so 4.
So about 4 fans, one fridge,
microwave, a kettle.
Yeah, like regular home appliance stuff. Nothing crazy, nothing extreme.
Okay.
Very, very basic stuff.
Yeah.
How much are you looking to fork over to get a solar setup?
You want a very candid answer?
Yes.
Okay. The candid answer is leave the ACs out for now.
Okay.
ACs are not. I mean, we all love the ACs, right? But it's gonna cost you a lot more with ACs. Than
I would beg to differ. I would say run. Obviously, you're going to run the ACs during the day. So
day and night.
You are running yours all day.
Part night. Okay. If you want to run ACs during the day, you need minimum 2.5K. 2.5K divided by a 600 watt panel is what 6 times 4, 7 panels, a maximum 8 panels. So if you want to run AC, you want 8 panels during the day. Each AC is 8 panels on a 600 watt panel. Yeah. So 8 panels for the second AC, 16 panels. If you want, forget about running them at night. If you want to run them at night, you need batteries. Yeah. The batteries are quite expensive. Yeah. And unless you're running a really, really, really big system, taking that 2.5K out of a battery is quite expensive. So how much would that be? Okay, so I've got a 10K lithium battery setup, which has 10K of storage. You can run the solar. You can run the air conditioning for about 5 hours, 6. You can run it for about 5 hours, 6 hours. Providing the windows are shut and the bedroom door is shut, it will, and it's running at maybe 30 degrees centigrade. So you could possibly run it all night on a 10K system.
But Ghanaians run their AC at 16.
Yes.
Or 17.
That's
30 degrees room temperature outside.
Yeah.
Let me run at 16. We want to chill. You see, the whole idea of the air conditioner is I want to chill.
Yeah, I'm
put ourselves under the duvet. Yeah.
If you want to do air conditioning, you need to have some proper money.
Okay.
So I'm saying that if the lights were out right now, what would I need? I would need my internet.
Yes.
Internet.
Probably my TV if I want to watch some games.
We have 60 seconds, so.
Okay. So.
Yeah.
Typically, if you want a good system to do the basics, 24,000.
Okay, so 24,000 Ghana cedi. Is this with battery or minus battery?
With battery.
With battery. 24,000 Ghana cedis.
Basic. Yeah.
Okay, so you heard it here.
Stacks though.
No Chesky.
So Kwame and Noche Amate Fio Kwame Adade, thank you guys for coming. But I want to ask you, would you be available next week to continue this? Because I'm sure there's a lot more questions people want to ask, but because of time. And we haven't treated, like I said, wind, so many other things that we have to discuss. So would you do us the honors?
Sure. Why not?
Great. So you heard that, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. The show has been Geek, so I've been talking about renewable energy potential in Ghana and how you could set up solar in your house. We hope this very technical discussion made a bit of sense to you. If it did not, drop your questions with the hashtag JoyGeekSquad. We'll get to that conversation next week. and on social media. My name is Kobe Spike Nkrumah. Thank you to my producer, Prince Safo, and my executive producer, Richardson Do. And thank you guys for joining me. Up next is the news. Mami is here looking at me. I'm going off so you can come on. Bye.
Eight o'clock.